Hello and welcome to the Film Ireland podcast, celebrating filmmaking, storytelling and cinema across the island of Ireland. Today's episode has been made possible with the support of Coimisiún Meán and Screen Ireland Stakeholder scheme. Today we shine a spotlight on the Dublin International Comedy Film Festival, which returns for its 6th edition on the 27th to the 30th of November, taking place in Tailors Hall in the Liberties. This year's lineup features over 50 comedy films, sketches, live stand-up, script readings, Q&As, competitions and a fantastic final award ceremony. So check out Dublin International Comedy Film Fest.com for the full programme. In a little while you'll hear a live recording from the first heat of the DICFF stand-up competition held earlier this year in collaboration with Culture 8 and the Dublin Liberties Distillery. Then Film Ireland contributor Rachel Melita speaks with actor, writer and filmmaker Laoisa Sexton, whose short I Can't Go On is screening at the festival. But first, here's festival director Mo O'Connell to chat about this year's jam-packed programme. Thanks so much for chatting with us, Mo.
Oh no, thank you. Thanks for asking me.
Oh God, you're in the midst of prepping and it sounds like a really exciting festival.
Yeah, no, it's great. We're really looking forward to it. We're going to have it on in Tailors Hall in Dublin 8 as well, which is a really beautiful historical building. So it's like home of the rebels, Wolfe Tone and all of them. So it's kind of cool.
So it's still home of the rebels.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Nothing has changed.
Yay. Oh, it sounds fabulous. So I was wondering if you could tell us first a little bit about the history of the film festival, because I know normally we chat about it and we have our short filmmakers on other years, but it's been running a while now.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been running since 2020. So I set up during COVID, and I kind of always thought that there should be an Irish comedy film festival. Because Irish film festivals, though they're all great, it's just that they kind of focus on drama and they lay an importance, at drama's feet that I think sometimes isn't necessarily always deserved when comedy is so great. And that, Irish people are very funny and very funny storytellers. So that we weren't really celebrating that or encouraging it that much. So I waited for someone else to do it and then no one did it. And I just, I'll just do it and just see what happens. And then I set it up online because it was COVID. So the first year was great. It was a huge success. But I think, everyone needed a bit of a laugh because everyone was struggling through COVID. And then the second one was online. And then we went in person in Smithfield.
And it's been going from strength to strength, especially because it's not just film, it's also the performances. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about the stand-up competition and the live script readings.
Sure. Yeah. So a part of it is, I love live performance and I love stand up. So I had always wanted to do kind of funny films intertwined with stand up or improv. So initially I did that online. So people were doing stand up online. So we'd like, Michael Fry doing a sketch for us online and stuff, and Emma Doran doing stand up online, like on a Zoom. And so then when we went in person, I got, like I just asked, reached out to the kind of the freshest kind of comedians coming out, and they were brilliant, they were amazing. And so they did stand up in between the comedy films. And then we also had an improv troupe as well, which was great fun. And then it was around the writer's strike, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe, in LA. And obviously that affected the whole industry. And so to get behind them, I thought, wouldn't it be good to put on a live script reading event? And that way we also showcase actors as well, because sometimes when you read a script, it's not funny, but you give it to an actor and it's hilarious. So that actually really happened. That was really funny because it was a couple of scripts. I thought they were funny. And then we did the live script reading and they were just scream out loud funny. I remember like just screaming laughter because the actors were just so absurd. And, the way they delivered their part was so ingenious. So, yeah, I was delighted with how it went.
And the stand-up competition is paired with another festival over in the US. So I was wondering if you could tell me more about that. That's really exciting for the winner.
Yeah. So before we used to just kind of have like stand-ups doing it. And then as we went along, I thought we could do like a competition for them as well, maybe. So we started that, was it last year, 2024? So we hold heats during the year and then we choose, the best into the final or whoever, the audience votes or whatever as well. And we have this sister film festival in New Jersey in the USA. And that came about through Mike Farher, who's an Irish American. And he submitted films in 2020 and 2021, and he just really loved the festival. He came over in 2022, and so he asked us if he could basically copy our festival and put it on in New Jersey, in Count Basie, which is amazing theater. And we were like, yeah, sure, yeah, why not? So we sent him like a short list of the best 10 Irish shorts, and then we organized a prize for the best Irish kind of filmmaker. And so then they would be flown over, all expenses paid, by Count Basie, and have their film screened there. So it was initially just a filmmaker prize, but now we've twinned it with a comedian. So the best comedian now, that's the big prize. So they'll also be flown over along with the other filmmaker to New Jersey in March. It's March each year, so it's kind of Paddy's Day. It's kind of around Paddy's Day there, the sister film festival, and they'll perform there to a US crowd. And it's been getting bigger every year in the US. So they've gone into the huge room. It's called the Vogel. It like seats like, I don't know, 1,000 people or something. So
No pressure.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, Brita Hegarty won last year, and she was phenomenal. And she played to this, sold out audience who loved her. So it was great.
God, that's so exciting. So there's really like the stakes are so high in terms of that. There's some two wonderful features I know screening. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about those.
Sure. So we have Let the Wrong One In by Conor McMahon, which is, comedy horror, I suppose. It's in that genre, and it's a take on Let the Right One In. So vampires and all of that, and it's absolutely hilarious. I suppose it's about a toxic relationship between brothers, and about addiction, I suppose. So one brother, I suppose is an allegory for one brother having an addiction and kind of pulling the younger brother into trouble all of the time because of that addiction. But he happens to be a vampire, he's just addicted to blood in this case. So it's a great story underneath it all, but also then it's hilarious, and it's very Dublin as well, so it's very kind of, I always find with stories when they're very specific to the place that they're from, they resonate more. In fact, they're more universal, and I think Connor really achieved that with this film.
And Buffy fans will be delighted.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely delighted. I mean, it's totally
Yeah.
in that space.
Well, Anthony
So
Head is in it.
yeah, Anthony Head
Giles.
as well, it's
Yeah.
amazing. And then the best of Irish talent as well is in it. So, and then Connor will be there for the Q&A as well.
Yeah.
So he'll be there for the chats with
But
everyone.
the one thing I will say about that is you nearly want to watch that film 3 times to get every joke. It is the most
Yeah.
jam-packed
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
film
It's
I've
just
ever
constant, like,
seen with
rapid fire
jokes.
jokes. Yeah.
Oh, fabulous. And
It's
there's
good.
some kind of really, it is, suppose it's a time when we really need comedy. And there's definitely two programs that you have that sort of definitely make that point. I was wondering if you could tell me about Ashling's films and the screening of Christie.
Yeah, so Aisling McGill is a lovely lady who was she's a filmmaker, and she was in the advanced producers course with me at TU Dublin, and she was actually our class captain, and she was brilliant. And she has three lovely children. She's living in the west of Ireland, and unfortunately she has breast cancer at the moment. So she can't work, and she has three kids, and so she obviously is struggling.
And it
So
is very tiring to
yeah,
raise three kids when you are not sick.
yeah, exactly. So Tony Doyle, who's a fellow filmmaker and actor, he was in our class, and he suggested on our WhatsApp group that we do a screening of our own films, and maybe just charge a tenner in and give that to Aisling. And I just said, well, if you want, you can use DICFF, because that way you guys don't have to rent a screen, and then there's more money then for Aisling. So they all agreed to that. And so we all threw in some of our own films, and then some friends' films that, are very funny. And yeah, so they're all comedy films. And we thought that was right as well, just to keep it kind of, joyful and upbeat and celebratory as well. And yeah, so we're going to we're going to celebrate Aisling and her amazing strength, and hopefully raise a lot of money for her. So she has a GoFundMe link that's up at the moment. And I think she's set a target and she's not too far away from it. So I'm hoping that we can help her hit that target at least in any case. Yeah, so we've brilliant shorts. Cantata won last year Best Irish Short, and it's the most insane Irish short I've ever seen. It's brilliant. Like I find it hard to even explain it. You just have to go watch it. So that it's in there. It's part of Ashleen's films, and again, it has the best kind of of Irish talent as well. Even if you're just into comedy films, just go just to see them because they're amazing. And you've Sound and Color with Alison Oliver, by Emma Foley, Pale Rebel Productions, which is great as well. Remote Strutting, which is about a deaf girl, in an office, and it's kind of a bit of a rom-com as well.
And did that win the script competition?
That was actually in the script
In the script
competition,
competition,
and it
yeah.
was very close to it. The thing about that was it was just hard to act out. There's some scripts that are just hard to act out, but I remember kind of talking to them about it because I felt bad that year when they didn't win it because it's such a strong script, and Rory Hallinan is an amazing writer. But then they did, yeah. So they went on to win funding for it in any case, and they shot it, and it's Western Front Productions. Emer Durkin is amazing, and she's also in the TU Dublin class, the advanced producers class. She's amazing. Yeah, so a load of shorts in there. The short of Christie as well is in there, which is phenomenal. A yellow belt match, Chicken Out. So just go and see them if you can. And then we have the Palestinian shorts. So we have a section on Saturday morning. Irish kids shorts, like I think actually one of my favorites, along with the Palestinian shorts, are my favorite in the whole festival because it's by Irish kids in Limerick, called Die Less for Sandwich, and it's kind of like film noir style. It's brilliant, and it's so funny. It's like, I mean, it's just amazing. And it's Pete Moles, Pete Moles, so he kind of taught them. He's a film, he's great. So he taught them, and he's involved with Fresh Film Festival. And so he sent me on these films, and they're amazing. So you get to watch those films. You get to watch some films that are made by adults for kids. And then you watch the Palestinian films, which are made by Palestinian kids from the tents of Gaza. So they're living in the tents being bombarded, and they have this amazing teacher, Haneen Karaz is her name, and she's an award-winning animator, and she's gone to the tents of Gaza and she's taught them animation. So they're 2-minute shorts. The whole thing is about 30 minutes. They're 2 minutes, roughly speaking, each, and they are like profoundly beautiful and joyful and funny and uplifting, and like also full of like hope and like good morals, as in, so there's one where you see this plane flying overhead. It's an aid plane, and it drops its aid in the trees, the branches of the trees. So the village doesn't know how to get up there, so they're all kind of crowding around just because they need the food, obviously. So the little boy, who's our lead, goes up and he gets the box of food and he brings it down. He gives his neighbors only a small bit, and he brings the rest back to his sister. He says, you see, because his sister's starving, he says to his sister, you see, I brought it all for you. And she says, no, go back out and share it equally amongst. So that these are the kids coming up with this story. So that's just shows you where they are at, like in the middle of this war zone with these, murderous people all around them. And this is how they think, it's amazing. It's so beautiful. If you buy a ticket for that, it's for their charity. It's for the teacher to keep making those animations with those beautiful kids. So
Wow, it sounds so powerful. It sounds you've such a strong lineup. Yeah, it just sounds like a really wonderful day and a wonderful venue as well. Before we go, do tell me about Cherry Trifle, because that just looks like a really exciting film.
basically, if we break even, if DICFF breaks even, we give a percentage of ticket sales to RAID, which is a Dublin 8 charity called Recovery Through Arts Drama Education. So they help people with mental health issues and with various different types of addictions to overcome them through art, various different types of art. And one of those arts is filmmaking. So I've volunteered for them in the past, and that's how I know them. I live in Dublin 8. And so I had a short film script that initially was written by Graham Malloy, and then I he invited me onto it, so I wrote onto it myself as well, called Sherry Trifle, and it is about a heroin addict who we see starting on the streets, who goes to buy a Sherry Trifle for her mother on her mother's birthday, and she tries to get the Sherry Trifle to her mother, and all the obstacles that gets in the way, basically. So I began teaching them acting in July 2024, and did it twice a week for a good few months, and then brought in the script and got them to work on the script and work on backstories. And the backstories were so rich then, I brought it into the film. And so they all have a writing credit on it now. And then I brought them into each department, just kind of teaching them how to make a film as well. And it was like a really beautiful journey. They're the most amazing people. And so then we shot it mainly over 5 days, March 5th to 10th in 2025. And then we had another few pickup dates. It actually ended up being about 20 days shoot.
Like a
Swear to
feature film.
God, because I got so many yeses. And we also ended up getting, I was listening to Joni Mitchell's song From Both Sides Now during it, and I wasn't really listening to the lyrics. I was just kind of listening to the tune, and I thought eventually I kind of thought this would be nice over a flashback scene. And then for some reason when I was shooting it, I kept being drawn to clouds and kept shooting clouds. Kept thinking that for some reason that's, it's a nice metaphor or something. And then when I listened to the tune eventually to its lyrics, it's about being both sides of a cloud, either sides. Anyway, it's about clouds. So it's just like it's bananas. So it's a lovely motif, the image of clouds throughout the film. And also we got the rights to Joni Mitchell's song. So I wrote to her people, told her what we were doing. And so we have this beautiful, famous song on the film, which really works.
Gorgeous. God, that's so exciting, and it's such a lovely lineup. Thank you so much for chatting with us, and we'll see you there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And if anyone's struggling to pay for tickets, just give us a shout and we'll sort you out.
On the 10th of May this year, in the Dublin Liberties Distillery, some of the funniest up-and-coming comedians battled it out on stage for a coveted spot in the grand final at this year's festival. So have a listen to some of the highlights of that event here.
The guy who put the autism definition in the medical textbooks, he had this really weird theory that mothers caused autism. He calls it refrigerator mothers. The really patronising thing about that is that we meant that he was dismissive of autistic kids' talents. If one came in and did a bunch of maths equations, he'd be like, oh, he clearly only did that to get attention from his indifferent mother. I find that patronising as hell. Autistic people love loads of stuff, and it's not to make up for some childhood lack. Autistic person who loves Star Trek, we call them a Trekkie. Autistic person who likes anime, we call them a weeb. An autistic person who likes sports, we call them a traitor to their kind, but we still have a winner for that.
Ghosting is actually nice. Ghosting is so underrated. When I ghost you, I'm leaving you with hope. Maybe it's not that she doesn't like me. Maybe it's not my hairy fingers. Maybe she's just dead.
She says to me the other day, she says, do you have contempt for men? I says, I think it's Chanel number 5 for her.
Give us a shout if you have a significant other, fellas. You could sound a bit more fucking happy about it, right?
My husband's leaving me. I really hope he's leaving me for super long. Fair enough. Because if he's leaving me for no one, it means he's leaving me for who I am.
I said, well, listen, look, calm down. You have to remember where you are. I said, when I was growing up here as a young girl, you had 2 options for your future. One, a teenage mother, or the second, a heroin addict. And me being the overachiever, I done the 2 of them.
This is my passion, stand-up comedy. And if you were to argue that I only come up and tell jokes to strangers because I didn't grow up in a loving home.
So if you're looking for laughs this weekend, the grand finale of the Dublin International Comedy Film Festival takes place on the 29th of November. So that's Saturday at 8 p.m. Now I'm delighted to introduce Film Ireland contributor Rachel Melita as she catches up with actor, writer and filmmaker Laoisa Sexton. Laoisa's short I Can't Go On screens as part of the Shorts Block F on Friday the 29th of November.
Okay, so my first question is actually, I just want to know what your first job in the film industry was and how was it to work with other people at the beginning?
My first job was an actor. You know, when you first start, it's amazing to be on set for the first time. It's incredible. And then, you know, the more jobs you get, the more you get a lot more familiar with like set world and language, behavior, everything. So that's kind of helped me, but also helped me make films. But it's extremely different because, like, as an actor, you're very kept away from all the stress and kind of mollycoddled, you know, like you're not, you know, like you're like a baby. So people are looking after you and slightly different.
Were you nervous the first time you actually acted professionally? Or
I mean, yeah, I still get nervous, you know. I kind of feel you should be nervous. If you're not, there's something wrong. I mean, you know, those kind of nerves are good. I mean, not to the point where they're distracting, but I feel you should be a little, you know, heightened. Otherwise, you know, there's something wrong.
something wrong?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because it is, you know, especially film acting, it can be very artificial because you're not, you know, like you're starting in the middle of a scene, you just got on set, you have to kiss some bloke that you never met, and you're, you know, maybe you didn't have, you know, a rehearsal for a film is a luxury. And, you know, quite often you're meeting people for the first time, or if you're on a TV show, you're sort of, you know, you're brought in, you know, hello, this is everyone. If you're lucky enough to meet them in the makeup room beforehand, and then you're on set and you've got to do your thing. So it's very focused, and you have to be focused, you know, and you know, the nerves are one thing. I mean, sometimes, you know, when you're in like waiting in a green room and then, you know, you're not used and then you have to wait another hour and you're all, you know, it's a question of pacing yourself. So if they don't call you for 2 hours, they get delayed with some other scene, and, you know, that you still can pace yourself. Otherwise, you know, like if you arrive on set and you're doing an emotional scene and you're all like, oh God, making yourself upset and thinking about the worst things in your life. I mean, probably the same for stage as well. Like you just learn that as you go, you know, like the more experience you get, because every time you're on set, it's really a different experience.
What would you say is the hardest aspect in filmmaking, and what do you love most about it? Directing and writing.
Yeah, well, I started writing plays first. I wrote a play and I didn't know what I was doing. I just thought I was in a lot of original plays, and I just thought to myself, how hard can this be? Like everyone else is doing it. So I sat down and I wrote a play. It must have been like, took me only like 3 weeks. I mean, it was one of those fluke things that never happened again. But you know, and the play was picked up and put off Broadway for like 8-week run. And then we went on tour around Ireland with it. And I didn't know what was happening. I was kind of, wow, is this, you know, okay, this is whatever. But I started, and then I wrote another play, which took me forever. And then I did another play after that, and they were all put on off Broadway. And I was extremely lucky. I'm not really known so much for playwriting in Dublin, even though my play it opened in Dublin as well. And I performed in all the plays. And then I just thought, I'd always been, I'd been making like trailers for the plays, sort of like promotional trailers. And my fella is a cameraman, Trevor Murphy. So he was like shooting them, and I was like, oh, we'll do this, and just coming up with ways to put them on social media and stuff like that. And then I was like, oh, I'd love to make a short film, you know. So it just kind of went from there. But I was always avoiding short films because I always thought they had to be about, you know, like there had to be like a gag in them, or there had to be like this serious issue, or, you know. And then it took me a long time to kind of figure out how I could do it. And the first film I made as a director, I was in as well. And I took a character from one of my plays, and I just took her story, a bit of her storyline, and it kind of shaped it into something. And I was really lucky. I got Aidan Gillen was in it. He's a big, you know, Irish veteran actor, and I've been lucky enough to do a play for his brother, and I like basically asked him would he pass it on to him, and he said yes, and it was mad. But and that was my first experience of, and I was directing as well and acting, and it was about kind of this younger kind of working class girl who sort of goes on this series of awful dates with this older, sophisticated, wealthier man in his car, and you know, up to all kinds of shenanigans. It was very like I don't know how I directed it, like looking back on it, like I don't even think I thought it through, like, and went like knowing what I know now after making like four or five shorts, I'm much more like, oh wow, you know. And sometimes that's a bad thing, because sometimes I think just like your innocence about something is good, you know, like you're not kind of tripping yourself up, because, you know, when you know how challenging things can be sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, and when everyone's telling you, oh, this is so challenging, or this is so ambitious, and, you know, in this business, you need to be completely delusional. I mean, you know, you look in the mirror and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to put myself out there as an actor. And yeah, you are, because you're you know, it's not about that. You just have a burning fire and you want to do things. And the same with making a film. You're like, if you knew what was involved. I mean, I really feel making a short takes like the guts of a year, really, you know. Especially if you're like the way I did it, where I was like, the first two films I made crowdfunding.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any money, you know, it was like I was on this tiny budget with no support, didn't have a producer, just pretending there was a producer. I had a pretend name for a producer on the credits. You know, I was just like, I mean, some guy was complaining about a producer on my set, one of the crew. And I was like, well, you don't have to worry here because there's no producer. Like, it was just, you know, because I just didn't want it to be, you know, directed by Leisha, written by Leisha, starring Leisha, catering by Leisha, you know. So I just like made up some phony company name. And, you know, everyone got paid. I did the film, I did the Screen Ireland rates, and I paid everybody, you know, but it's just nickel and diming. Like, it's so tough. And, you know, a lot of people don't want to do shorts because their actors don't want to do them because they're like, oh, it's such a, you know, I've got this TV show, I'm doing this play, you know, so I have to find a way to get the right cast, get the right group together. But, you know, I know that now, but I just think I got lucky on the first two, you know, begged, asked, got a lot of favors. And then you sort of build your team, you know, like you start to go, God, I only want to work with this team. You know, these people are amazing, or, you know, or I won't work with that person again, or, you know, like you sort of build your, you know, you want, I suppose the whole thing in this business is finding the other person that gets you as well and gets the type of work that you do, and they're interested in it. like it's amazing. I just did a proof of concept short film, raised the money on a crowdfunder, shot it in May or June. I had an amazing production designer, Gavin Murphy, and we literally had to build a caravan from scratch, and like a mobile home thing, because we couldn't film inside one, it was too small. And what was amazing about it was I was in it as well as an actor. It was very small. It was only a two-hander. But what was amazing was being so close to the crew, because we were all in this little box. And, like it's really intense and brilliant. And I mean, I just had the most amazing crew. So I was really lucky because everyone was passionate about making this film, and making it together, and it was really exciting. So hopefully it'll turn out well. But I haven't done post-production yet on it, but it's amazing just building a core team of people that are incredible at what they do, and they bring so much to, because my first film, I didn't have a production designer or anything like that. I was just going to secondhand shops and buying things and buying the wardrobe. I had a pretend wardrobe person as well, had a fake name on that as well. I think it's Patricia Mustard did the costumes. She doesn't exist. It was just me going into like, Oxfam and stuff like that. So, I mean, you just do what you have to do to make your film.
Yeah.
Doing the film I Can't Go On, which had Screen Ireland on board, was like so different, because it was supported, and a lot more voices too. I had to listen to a lot more voices, and it was very different. I was kind of like, what? I don't have to do that? Okay, So, but I think you learn. I'm learning all the time, like everyone else,
Yes. And yeah, I mean, that's totally relatable. I'm also an independent filmmaker at the moment. And it's funny how when you start, you just have to do almost everything yourself. You do everything. You're the actor, you're the director, you're still editing it. And you have to also like support people, like give them some type of allowance or something. It's just a crazy experience when you start off. And I just want to ask you, did it take some time for you to find your voice in creative writing when you're writing your scripts, or did you immediately find it, or how has it been for you?
I think I'm very instinctual when it comes to writing. I'd love to, if I was to think about my writing from another perspective, I'd say, or if I was to think about writing, I'd say I want to write things that I want to see. And I don't see them out there. So I want to write this thing and I want to write it this way. I've never had any tuition about writing. I think being an actor has helped me write, and also directing has helped me write. You realize you don't need these things. They're being seen. That the audience sees the person. Whereas when you're on stage, it's all about the words and delicious words, which I love, and I do like dialogue in films. I love Coen Brothers. And they have a lot of dialogue. And I suppose my thing is dark comedy, but I like things that are I like funny, but I like sad. I like a mixture of both, like funny. People are always saying everything's funny. So it's tragic, but it's funny. And I love putting life on screen and just allowing the audience to do a bit of work. I don't want to just tell them everything and tie it all up for them, because life is not like that. Life is not, oh, here's act 3, everything's going to be great. I love to play with the audience, I guess, and be like, because when you're on stage as an actor, you feel that power. Like you can go, if I go up here even on my voice, if I go up here, if I change this, even you stick to the blocking that the director gave you or whatever, but you know how to get a reaction out of an audience, what's provocative. So when you go to write, like I love to kind of go, people are endlessly fascinating. Like the things that they do, they just do these U-turns and everyone's so contradictory. Like you have someone who's like a saint and then they do something awful and you're like, wow, and I'm constantly fascinated by that. So I love I suppose like all my films are like full of flawed people, like deeply flawed people who are not always likable, and I don't care, it's like, because there's lots of people in life who are tricky and, I find that fascinating, that, and people really interest me. I love people and, I suppose that's why I became an actor, but the idea that you can put these characters on screen or on stage, and you can really explore things that you just find, like even in your own life, someone and they did this thing and you're like, God, I can't believe they did this thing. And if you put it on stage, someone will turn around to you and say, that would never happen. And you'd be like, yeah, it does happen. Someone said that to me once, one of my plays on Broadway, and they said, oh, it's great and everything, but that would never happen. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because it's based on my family, and she didn't know what to say to me, like, so it's just, and I suppose, what is it? I'm always using this quote, but the Samuel Beckett quote, like nothing is funnier than tragedy, like on screen or on, because you do as an audience, you don't want to see a perfect human being who's just doing everything right. And I also feel that you can mine a lot of really serious things in comedy through comedy. So it may be like a character's choice, and the audience is reeling, going, oh God, and you want that, because that is what makes the connection between the audience and what they're watching, I feel, anyway.
You also talked about Screen Island funding the I Can't Go On. Could you talk to me about the application process? What was it like?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know if you know yourself. It's a lot of writing up, and all applications are very difficult. I worked with the producer. I had the script, I must have done about 25. I'm like that. I do about 25 drafts before I'll even hand it to a friend and say, what do you think of this? Because I just want to keep, scraping away until I feel like, okay, it's essential. And I was lucky. I was really lucky to get it. It was difficult. You apply, you do all the documents, which is a lot of documents. And I get it. It's a lot of money. Like, so and there's a lot of competition. Not that you think that, again, delusional person. So I just go for things, but yeah. And then they interviewed. When I had the interview, I wasn't sure, I normally, like when I have an audition or if I'm talking to a director, I'll be like, I know I got that, or I didn't get it. And I was really unsure when I came out of the interview. I felt like, did I not, and then we got it. So it was brilliant, because I was kind of like, ooh, it is a lot of work. And I think it's difficult for people who are, on a lower socioeconomic, like me, who doesn't have, I don't have a family supporting me and that kind of thing. I think it's hard because there's days and days of, work. But I was really lucky to get it, and they were really cool. Screen Ireland, I must say, it was very ambitious script, and for them to come around to such a ambitious film, because it really, I just thought to myself, if I've made these 2 films before that, if I'm going to go for a funded film, I'm going to reach for the stars. I'm going to throw everything at it. And, there wasn't a penny that, was lying around. It was all on screen. So, it was challenging, very challenging in that regard. And I learned a lot. I had to work with producers for the first time, and also Screen Ireland for the first time. And I think I did okay. I hope I did okay. Just, it was a lot. There was a lot of people. There was a lot of cast. We had a children's party. We had a lot of people. At one point I thought to myself, wow, I didn't think I was directing Game of Thrones, but here I am, like, on the battlefield. So it was a lot. And I had a stunt person. There was a lot to consider that at first you think, oh yeah, we'll be able to do that. Again, I had the same production designer, Gavin Murphy, incredible man. And he had to build a bouncy castle because you couldn't get a bouncy castle the way we wanted it to be. I wanted it over the top and, something kind of close to a fairy tale. And that doesn't really exist, you're kind of like, oh, I could get this. And even with a great budget, you still I was looking online and I was like, oh, wow, look at this. But then you look at there was a giant, blow up thing. And we could, it was thousands, it would have eaten up $5,000 of the budget. So it was stuff like that, it was very heavy on costume, very heavy on lots of things. I had amazing hair and makeup person, Linda Mooney, who was incredible. So she did all the wigs, and it was literally and Sarah Herity did the costumes. And she said to me, God, I haven't used a sewing machine in years. And I was making her sew, it was handmade, the masks, in the back garden, even still, paper mache, and it was very hands-on, everything was, because I wanted it to be really dense, full of texture. And I was kind of going for that kind of Howell and Pressburger, tons of, just so it's a feast for your eyes, kind of that was kind of what I was going for. And even the sound design, I had the most amazing Aaron Fay, most incredible man. He told me there was 150 tracks on the sound alone.
Wow.
And that was because, we had the party, we had the kids, then we had the screaming, then we have the bouncy castle noise. We had, the list is endless. It was exhausting, exhausting, but massive team pulled it off, brilliant team. So it was, it was it was a great experience to have. I don't think I would have been successful if I hadn't done my first 2 films with Screen Ireland. I felt like they really served me, with Screen Ireland, because I could show them that I could do this, that, and the other. Because I suppose my main job in making the application was to show them that I was capable of making a film like that. And that's what's hard, because, you've got to get people behind you and they're not that familiar with you or your work or something. And, you want to be able to show them that you can pull it off and bring it over the line. because anyone who's made a short film knows how hard that is. Even if you're doing something simple, just to get it over the line is difficult. So it was great. It was great. Like, I learned a lot on that. A lot. Yeah.
Well, Lisha, I could really talk to you about a lot of things, but unfortunately, we have to wrap up. And I'm really thankful. And it was such an amazing chat this evening with you. And yeah, hopefully we are able to connect again.
Yeah, and I can meet you in person. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rachel and Lisha, and we look forward to seeing you both at the festival. So the Dublin International Comedy Film Festival runs from the 27th to the 30th of November in Tailors Hall. So check out the full programme at dublininternationalcomedyfilmfest.com and make sure to rate and subscribe to Film Ireland wherever you get your podcasts.